Welcome back to Indiana Diecast Racing and the continuing action of the Final Fantasy Fracas. Today we've got groups 20 and 21 of round 2. Kicking us off today is Chicken George, one of only 2 remaining drivers for Nick Devers Racing. George was impressive in round 1, putting up more than double the score of his competitors and never finishing worse than second in that zoom-in Superbird Franken car. Representing one of the tournament favorites is Thomas, in his navy blue speed bump, which he drove to a group victory in that wild all speed bump round 1 group that produced a pair of wild cards. Sneaky Bob the second gets back on track for Vapor Racing in his very purple MST Suzuka that took second in the first round after edging out wildcarder Lou Hondo of Arlo Racing in a runoff. And lastly, this Nitro Door Slammer is piloted by MT of White Knuckle Motoring. The man of 2 letters was great from the front row in round 1, but wound up barely making round 2 after only achieving 1 point from the back row. Chicken George, Thomas, Sneaky Bob the second, and MT all set up for the first lap of the day. Chainsaw the Rust Belt Duck says, "Let's go," and they're off. Wait, that's ridiculous. A duck would never say "let's go." You know, unless he was some sort of cyborg duck that's been trained to talk. Wait, I wonder if that's what Poffler's really doing over there in Buffalo, some sort of underground cyborg duck breeding science program. See, now that's something that makes sense. Thomas rips everybody a new one and takes lap 1. A phenomenal opening lap for Thomas, who leaves the field way behind. And slowing it down, Sneaky Bob completes the super late pass to steal third from Chicken George. Not a good way to start for George, who takes 4th on his pole position lap. Sneaky Bob moves up to assume the pole while George shifts to the outside lane. Bob with a great jump, and George can't take advantage of the downhill with that stretched car. Thomas mired way in the back this time as Sneaky Bob slowly pulls away from MT. George and Thomas catch MT, and we've got another tough battle for second. They come to the line, and lap 2 is Bob, MT, George, and Thomas. For some reason, MT really slowed down in the Echo Base turn, allowing Sneaky Bob to win uncontested and George and Thomas to challenge for second. Thomas drops to third as Sneaky Bob and MT link up to share a 1-point lead after 2. Things looking good for MT atop the group after a pair of back row starts, a total 180 from his first round experience. Sneaky Bob picks up where he left off, and Thomas dives inside MT to make the pass. No idea where George is. Sneaky Bob wins again. Thomas is second, and Chicken George passes MT on the final straight for third. Oh, and to make matters worse, MT stalls out just short of the finish line, making that today's first DNF. Thomas with a great aggressive move on the frozen tundra of Hoth to get around MT. More trouble for MT as he spins out on the final straight and ultimately fails to complete the lap. Sneaky Bob jumps out to a 2-point lead and now only has to finish lap 4 to advance. MT really in trouble now, as he'll have to beat Thomas by 2 positions just to tie. Thomas will defend from the pole, but MT's got a potentially faster outside lane. Chicken George also not out of it, but he's got a big hill to climb. Or descend, rather. MT dives into turn 2 and gets a nose ahead, but Thomas recovers before Echo Base. Bob close behind as they enter the square. Bob passes MT, and MT connects with George as they slide across the line. And that's going to be it for Group 20 as Bob and Thomas advance on the back of 2 strong second halves. Over to Group 21, and headlining today's second half is Harbor Town Dairy from Arlo Racing on his Nitro Foam Bridge thing that he rode to 3-lap victories way back in Group 8 of Round 1. From Big Al's, driver number 2 is Dee Dee, piloting her Easter-themed Avant-Garde, in which she also won 3 laps. And it's a twofer for Vapor Racing today as they put Donnie Karabatsos on track in his Bone Speeder, which coincidentally finished second to Sneaky Bob's primary vehicle in round 1. And if you watched the Wild Card Showdown, you ought to remember this driver. Sky from Filipiak Performance Diecast and winner of Bracket 4 is in her Thomasina 3. Lap 1 with Harbortown and Deeds up front, Donnie and Sky in the back. Wow, Dee unable to take full advantage of the crossover, and it's Harbortown and Donnie. Dee gets alongside Donnie and completes the pass in Echo Base. She gets close to Harbor, but he pulls away, and lap 1 is Harbortown, Dee, Donnie, and Sky. After a poor first turn, Dee and Sky play catch-up in turn 2, and Dee gets positioned to move into second in turn 3. Arlo Racing on top after 1. Vapor Racing up front on the inside now. Ooh, and we've got a much closer start. Harbortown and Dee whip around turn 2 and they both clear Donnie. Sky looks outside, but she can't make it stick. They run in order and finish lap 2 the same as lap 1. Taking advantage of your running lane is going to get more and more important, and Harbortown and Dee do just that. 2 identical finishes evenly spread out the group. We'll have to see if HTD can keep winning as he moves to the back row. Sky assumes the pole, surprisingly with the biggest hole to dig out of. She gets a solid start and leads into turn 2. She stays ahead of Donnie and turns on the jets. Sky leads, the field clumped up behind her, and it's Sky, Donnie, Dee, and Harbortown Dairy. Ludicrous speed. They reverse order on lap 3, and now there's only 3 points separating top from bottom as we go to the final lap. Dee on the pole with underdog Sky on the outside. Sky really needs to get in front before they hit Hoth if she's going to have a chance. Dee and Harbor are strong, and Sky slots in behind Deeds. Sky challenges as the group stays close. Harbortown all over Sky, and it's Dee, Sky, Harbor, and Donnie. Harbortown Dairy and Dee take the top 2 spots in one of the closer groups we've had this year. There's all of today's winners, and 4 different teams add to their round 3 rosters. Vapor Racing impressively leading the tournament with 6. Congratulations to Sneaky Bob II, Thomas, Dee, and Harbortown Dairy. This has been Jim D for Indiana Diecast Racing. Be sure to check in next time for more slightly above mediocre diecast racing and the continuing round 2 action of the Final Fantasy Fracas.